Welcome to another video for Runes of Magic. This time we're going to be talking about housing and storage. And once again, apologies for the laggy frame rates, just can't get around that with recording video. Anyhow, just like any other MMO, every character in Runes of Magic gets a backpack. In this case you get 2 slots of 30, so you get 60 item slots straight away, which is cool. There's also 4 more slots which you're able to rent, and they're able to be basically purchased with real world money. And when in Runes of Magic you buy a currency called diamonds with your PayPal, and if you purchase some of them then you can rent these slots anywhere from 3 days up to 6 months. Personally, I haven't found the need. 2 slots is quite enough. I'm in one of the main cities at the moment, and as any main city will have, this one has a mailbox, but it has a bank. So if we hop in here, obviously just like any other game, can talk to a person in the bank, and that opens up my banking slots. And once again, I have 1 slot that I'm able to use straight away, and 4 that I can rent if I choose to. But again, I haven't found the need to actually do that yet. There's tons of space there. So that's all well and good, but you know, what if you're not near a main town and you want to do banking and organize your items? What you do is you go to a NPC called your housemaid. So we're in the main city of Artemis at the moment, and I'm going to just transport over to a section of the game where there's a housemaid, and I'll show you how that works. Now, housemaids are in all major cities, plus they're in some villages around the world as well. For example, when you start the game, you'll eventually come to a town called Logar, which isn't far from where you start. And in Logar there's a housing maid, so you don't have to make it all the way to a main city to actually access these functions that I'm about to show you. So here we go, we've found a housemaid, and if we interact with her you'll see that there's a number of options here. One of the options is I want to open my bank box. So straight away I don't have to be in the bank to be able to actually access my bank. So as long as there's a housemaid in a settlement or a village or a city, you can access your bank and swap out your items, so that's quite handy. One of the other options that she has for you is visiting your house. So every player in Runes of Magic gets a house for free, which is great. Every single character. Not only that, but you can set your house up so that others can enter it. So one of the options here is I want to visit another player's house. Now, I don't have one of my friends' numbers on me right now, but every house has a number, and if I did want to enter my friend's house, I'd just simply enter their number and optionally a password if they've put a password on it, and I'd be transported straight to their house. So I can visit them. They may have set up their house with crafting gear, which is great, because if there's crafting gear in a player house, it means that you get crafting bonuses. I definitely want to craft in someone's house or my own house as opposed to a crafting station out in the world. So it's great to be able to visit other players' houses. In this case though, I want to enter my house, so go ahead and do that. So once we're inside our house, you'll notice that the old housing maid is in here as well, and she's got a few more options now that we're inside. For example, I can change my house name and password. One of the best things though is I can open my bank box in here as well. So you know, if I've got items in my inventory, I can do all my swapping around in here while I'm organizing things. I don't have to be out in the world. But the biggest bonus for having access to your bank in here is because every house also comes with a storage chest, so you get even more storage. Now the chest is basically just a piece of furniture, and on the menu up here I've got some options for my house. One of them is called furniture, and you can see I haven't been very busy in my house. It's pretty sparse. But these are slots that I can drag items into. For example, I can craft things like chairs and tables and beds, crafting stations I can purchase. There's things available like, for example, if I go to the item mall here, and go to the housing category, there's a thing here called a men's clothes rack. I could purchase that if I wish and drop that in my house, and that allows me to then put various outfits on display in my house. And also it's handy if, for example, you're dual classed as one class that wears cloth and one that wears armor. I can just simply walk up to a clothing rack when I change classes and switch out my outfits with one button press, rather than having to drag and drop individual pieces of gear to my bag, etc. So houses are good for that. But yeah, any piece of furniture or item in my house, I've got movement control, so I can just freely rearrange these wherever I like, which is great. Once I'm happy with that, I can then go ahead and use it. And as you'll see, that's got what's that got? 20 slots in it, again for free, that you get in your house. And this is where it becomes really good, because I can open my bank box. So right there, I've got drag and drop accessibility between my housing storage chest and my backpack and my bank. So that's a really neat feature. Another feature of the house, I've got a buff here. Obviously, it's called safe and sound. I can't be attacked inside my house or anything. But if I log out here, I get rest experience. So it's kind of like logging out in an inn in other games. If I log out in my house, I'll get a bonus to my rested experience. But one of the major things that a house is for is for changing class, and that's one of the options here. There's only two places in the game you can change class. One is in your house and one is in the class hall. But it's much easier to do it in your house. So if I click on change class, right now I'm a mage primary and a priest secondary. So what that means is, if we look at my skill list, is that I've got 3 skill tabs. So I have one of them called Mage Class Specific. So these are skills that are available to me while I'm spec'd primarily as a mage, and I can level these up as I go up in experience levels. I also have 2 other tabs, one for my secondary class, which is a priest, and another generic mage class. Now I can again assign talent points and upgrade all of these, but there's a tab missing basically, and that is a priest specific tab, and that's because I'm currently not spec'd as a priest primary. So at the moment the only priest spells I have access to are the secondary priest spells. So not only that, but my class levels, I'm a level 15 mage, but I'm only a level 13 priest. So let's say I want to swap classes. I simply take this primary drop down and change that to priest instead of mage. I'm now going to make my secondary mage, and take note when I go ahead and do this, take note of the hotbar here, the arrangement of that, and the spells on here, because it's currently set up as I would play it for a mage. When I change to priest, there we go, it's just, that's a free thing, by the way, and there's no limit to it. You'll notice that my hotbars have changed to the way they were last time I was playing my priest. So all those, all the layout of the skills and abilities on my hotbar have been remembered, kind of like a template. Not only that, now when I go into my skill book, I've got priest and I've got mage, but I also have now access to my priest class specific spells that I can level up, and I couldn't do that while I was primarily a mage. The downside, I guess, is now I only have access to those secondary mage skills, and there's only 3 of them there. So I simply don't have access to my primary mage skills. So I want to change back. Let's go through that one more time. Change class. I'm going to make my primary a mage because that's what I'm working on at the moment. My secondary a priest, and again watch the hotbars, and you'll notice everything goes back to the way it was when I was a mage. So that's pretty helpful. Obviously you can leave the house and go back outside, and yeah, there's the first, like I said earlier, the first place you'll find a housemate is in Logar. So on the main map, you normally start down here in the Howling Mountains. Logar is where that windmill is. Alright, have fun.